Good morning. Welcome to the Adult Sunday School class of Gospel Baptist Church. We have been studying Matthew chapter 24. And of course, it's been about the prophecy of the end times. And forgive me, I have a cough drop in my mouth. I've been coughing up a storm. You know, you would think that colds would only happen in winter, but they don't. But we are starting in Matthew chapter 24, verse 40. And it reads, "Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken, and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken, and the other left. Watch therefore, for you know not what hour your Lord cometh. But know this, that the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be ye ready, for at such an hour as ye think not, the Son of Man cometh." When speaking about the two men will be in the field, the one shall be taken, the other left, Jesus here pointed to the curious disappearances to catch away a sum at the coming of the Son of Man. Taken is the same verb usage. It implies to take someone to be with you, and therefore points to the salvation rather than the destruction of the one taken. In other words, saying one shall be saved and the other shall not be. "Watch therefore, for you know not what the Lord is coming. Since the day and hour of this coming is unknowable, Jesus' followers must be on constant guard for his coming." Here again is the second coming dilemma. It is an unexpected hour, or is it a positively predicted? It is business as usual or worldwide cataclysm. It is meeting him in the air, or is he coming with his saints? William Barclay describes one aspect of the difficulty here. It is in two sections, and they seem to contradict each other. The first verses 32 to 35 seem to indicate that as a man can tell by the signs of nature when summer is on the way, so can he tell by the signs of the world when the second coming is on the way. The second section, verses 36 through 41, says quite differently that no one knows the time of the second coming, but not the angels, not even Jesus himself, but only God, and that it will come upon men with suddenness of a rainstorm out of a blue sky. The dilemma is resolved by seeing that there are actually two second comings. One is in the air for the church, commonly known as the rapture. The other is the world, coming with the church, commonly known as the second coming of Jesus. These contradictions in Matthew 24 and much of the rest of prophecy are often solved by seeing there are really references to two returns of Jesus. You know, the truth is that we know that before the Great Tribulation, the saints, those who are saved currently, will be raptured up. And there are people that will be saved after the rapture. But unfortunately, they will have to go through the Great Tribulation. And they're going to suffer great persecution. See, the reality, those who are serving the devil are going to have a party. This will seem like business unusual. Even though there's great cataclysm and problems, for most of the world, it's going to seem normal. There's not going to be a problem because they're going along with the flow versus those who are seen as rebels or awful people. Now, we see today how easily people can be corrupted, where evil is now good. And that if you say it's wrong, you're a terrible person. You know, we've seen people lose jobs. You know, I know an actor who said he stood against his craziness in Hollywood and he got blacklisted. He couldn't get a job anywhere. You know, it's not because he did something awful. You have people that, you know, that are rapists, that are pedophiles, that have done terrible things, and yet they still work. But because he disagreed with their philosophy, he was blacklisted. And it wasn't just him, but there's other people, one like James Woods. James Woods, of course, I know him mostly because he played Hercules. Not Hercules. He played Hades in the Disney's Hercules, the animated film. And he has this very distinctive voice where he's a conservative, and they blacklisted him because he wouldn't go along with the flow. You see how awful things can be. So it's not a far stretch of the imagination that when people, during this time, only those that have the mark of the beast are going to be able to work. They will be able to make money. And to them, everything be business as usual, whereas it will be horrific persecution against those who do not follow the beast. We must not escape the emphasis that the Son of Man is coming in an hour that you do not expect. We must be ready because his coming for us is without warning. Jesus follows with a few parables to drive home this point. Suetonius tells us that it was a piece of Julius Caesar's policy never to frequent his soldiers at any time of removal or onset, that he might ever have them in readiness to draw forth with whithersoever he would. Moving on to verse 45. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant, whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. Jesus told us that we must carry out with diligence while the Lord is gone. We must be that faithful and wise servant who takes care of his master's business while the master is away. Jesus also promised that we will be rewarded for our diligence. The servant served the master, but the master knows how to take care of and reward his servants. Now moving on to verse 48. But if that evil servant shall say in his heart, My Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and to drink with the drunken, the Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour that he is not aware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Jesus warns us of the multitude which says, My master is delayeth his coming. We must live in constant anticipation of Jesus' return, and that means being about our business for him now. The most dangerous lie is not there is no God, not that there is no hell, but the most dangerous lie of Satan is there is no hurry. It is no small thing to say Jesus is not coming today or for several years, because your system of prophecy demands it. We need to be ready for the imminent return of Jesus Christ every day. The evil servant who was not ready for the master's return sinned in at least 3 ways. He was not about the business of the master that left him. He fought with and mistreated his fellow servants. He gave himself to pleasures of the world instead of serving his master. The emphasis on constant readiness is a challenge for Christians today. It can be said that many Christians are not ready in the same 3 ways. Each reader should be greatly impressed by the urgency of Jesus' appeal. The faithful and the wise servant was rewarded, but so was the evil servant. He was rewarded for his wickedness, and he would have a portion with the hypocrites he deserved. The parable meaning is, we'll cut him in two, so to speak, with a whip, thrash him. The base slave, unmerciful. It is a strong word selected to sympathy with the master's rage, Bruce. In other words, folks, we don't want to be that servant. We don't want to be caught being unfaithful. That every day Jesus could come back, and so every day we should be ready as Christians.